Welcome to Beautifully Consumed, where I believe the best way to live a life with purpose is by loving and becoming your most true self. Because when you know yourself fully, you shine a light that gives others the permission to do the same. I'm your host, Leigh. I'm here to inspire and encourage you by sharing my journey, the stories of others, and all the tips, tricks, and life lessons about aligning with your highest self. You're in the right place if you're ready to be wildly dedicated to finding your purpose, becoming your most true self, and learning what it means to be beautifully consumed with living a life that is undeniably yours. Hello, and welcome back to Beautifully Consumed. I'm your host, Leigh. Do you even remember me? It has been so long since you have heard from me. I think I left you in April. I think it was. I announced I was taking a little break from the podcast, and that little break turned into quite the hiatus. And I wanted to sneak one more in before 2024 came to a close. I'm literally recording and releasing this episode on New Year's Eve. So if you're listening on New Year's Eve, happy New Year's Eve, but chances are you're probably listening in 2025. So happy New Year to you. But I just really wanted to get one more in before the year ended. I didn't want to leave 2024 on the note of me saying I'm taking a month-long break and then not showing back up. So I'm here. I am going to tell you a little bit today about my year, what's happened since I decided to take that break, why I decided to take that break, and kind of what things are going to look like moving forward. I had a lot of time to think and really reflect on why I started the podcast, if I want to continue the podcast, what I want it to look like, all of those things. So let's go ahead and talk about it. So just to recap a little bit, let's pick up where we left off. So started the podcast last February and was releasing weekly episodes. I think I got 10 episodes, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but that's a pretty big deal, especially for someone who is brand new to podcasting, who has no experience. I literally just picked up a mic, bought the equipment, and hit record and did the thing and figured it out and learned a lot as I did it. And I'm really glad I did that. It kind of taught me what all goes into it as far as work and technical and scheduling and things of that nature. But I also run a jewelry business. That's my full-time job. That's where I make an income. This podcast actually cost me money to produce. I mean, I'm producing it all myself, but it costs money to host a podcast. It costs me money to buy the equipment and, all that kind of stuff. But so this is not something I'm making money from. I make my money with my jewelry business. And my jewelry business, things started to kind of pick up in the springtime, and I just could not balance having the podcast and working out and getting 8 hours of sleep a night and spending time with friends and family. I couldn't do it all. It just felt very overwhelming, and I needed to focus my efforts on where I was actually making money in order to pay my bills, which was my jewelry business. So that's kind of why I decided to take a break from the podcast. I initially thought, okay, I'm going to take a month-long break. Well, here we are on December 31st. That was in April. And to be quite honest with you, I really felt like a failure for saying I was going to do this thing and then not doing it. I said I was going to start a podcast and I was going to post every single week and have new episodes and really build this thing and make it into something great. And I said, okay, I'm going to take a break for a month. And that month turned into 2 months and then 3 months. And then here we are, a whole more than a half a year later. So I really struggled with, why did I even start this? What am I even doing? What's the point of this? And I kind of just shoved it away, put it to the side, and forgot about it for a little while. And on another note, it's all related. I'm going to come full circle with this, but 2024 was a really terrible year for the economy. And you can just look at the price of things. You can look at how many small businesses are struggling or have closed. I know so many small businesses who have just closed their doors permanently, and it's really heartbreaking to see that. And this was the worst year financially for my business. I've been in business going on 6 years now. This year was horrible. I've never been so broke in my life. It just was a struggle. And I don't say that to complain or like make you feel bad for me. This is just the reality of the situation. So I took the break from the podcast and I was like, you know what? I really have to focus on my jewelry business, because if I'm unable to pay the bills with that, I can't even think about starting any of these other fun side projects like the podcast. Like it wasn't even on my radar because I had to make it work with my jewelry business. And I'm the type of person that when I know I'm meant for something, it is unwavering. Like I don't have any doubts. And that's how I feel about my jewelry business. Like I know for sure that is what I was meant to do. And no matter how hard it was or how big those struggles were that I went through this year, mostly financially, I just knew I am going to come out on the other side, no matter what it takes, no matter how long it takes. So I tried a lot of new things this year with my business. I pivoted in lots of different ways. A lot of it didn't work. I was really just hanging on by a thread, to be honest with you. So the podcast just really got put on the back burner. But I would be lying if I said it wasn't in the back of my mind very frequently. Like it was something that I thought about for months while I wasn't doing it. Like I said, I really had to focus on making money and keeping my jewelry business afloat, which I'm very happy I did. Happy to report I'm still here and things are going better, especially after the holidays, but we'll get to that. But in the back of my mind, the podcast was on my mind because I was so excited about starting a podcast at the end of 2023. I launched it at the start of 24 and I got some really great feedback initially. I was having so much fun with it. And then all of a sudden I was just like, I can't do it anymore. I really at first struggled with feeling like I had failed because I said I was going to do this thing. I said I was going to start this podcast and post new episodes every week. I had all these ideas written down and guests that I wanted to ask. And I then said I was going to take a break that was only going to be a month long. And that got obviously thrown out the window. And I really just struggled with feeling like a failure, to be honest. And I said I was going to do this thing and I didn't. And I actually talked to a couple of my friends about this, and I'm so grateful for the people in my life who are so supportive of me and my big dreams and big endeavors. And there's a couple of things that a couple of my friends said to me. One was, she asked me like, well, who is listening to your podcast right now? And I said, well, probably mostly friends and family. And she said, well, those are the people that are going to love you and support you and understand the most why you needed to take a break and support you taking a break. And she said, if that's what you need to do, if that's what's best for you, the people that are listening to the podcast currently are the perfect audience for you to get that kind of like forgiveness and understanding from. Not that I need anybody's approval or anything like that, but that just really put it into perspective for me. And then another friend of mine said, oh my gosh, I cannot believe you feel like a failure. She said, I am so inspired that I actually had two people tell me this. I'm so inspired that you even started it in the first place, because so many people don't have the courage to even do something like that. Like, the fact that you even started it and got 10 episodes is like amazing. Most people won't even do that. And don't feel like a failure because you had to take a break and your break turned into 7 or 8 months. Like, the fact that you even got it off the ground is like incredible, and it'll be there for you when you're ready to come back to it. And so those pieces of advice and encouragement from my friends really stuck with me, because at first I really did feel like a failure. I was like, this is so embarrassing that I said I was going to do this thing so publicly, and then I just flopped. And then after hearing from those people that I do care about, their perspective kind of helped change my perspective on it a little bit. And then that break turned into a lot more reflection and time for me to kind of understand why I decided to take the break. And it allowed me time to figure out like how to better manage my time, better manage all the technical details that come with running a podcast. And the break was just really good for me. And I feel like ready for a reset on the podcast. I feel like I was a little bit flailing and waffling before, and now I feel much more ready to relaunch this podcast, if you will. So I'm very excited about that. And also, just to be a little vulnerable, I think I also struggled because of all of the financial struggles I was having with my business. Like I said, I've never been so broke in my life. As a 32-year-old, I'm like, shouldn't I have my life figured out by now? I should have been broke at 22, not 32, but life doesn't always go as planned. So I sort of felt like, how am I supposed to get on and talk about things that are motivational and encouraging and inspiring when I'm not even doing that myself? Like, when I am struggling myself, like, how am I supposed to encourage people to be their best selves when I am not feeling like my best self? And that is just, that's a limiting belief that I've had to work through and still will continue to work throughout my life. But I realized after taking this break and talking it out with different friends and family that, you don't have to be perfect to show up and encourage other people to be their best selves. Like, I don't have to have it all figured out in order to help other people figure it out. And I'm realizing that as I took this break. So I feel like I'm sitting here having a therapy session with y'all. So I'm sorry for dumping all of this on you. I just really want to like set the stage and give you kind of the backstory of like what has gone on since I decided to take the break. So, yeah. Anyway, fast forward to like holiday season. That's always my busiest time of year for my business. And with a lot of hard work and a little bit of luck, and the stars just aligned, and I was able to like really work my ass off in the fourth quarter and dug myself out of the financial hole I was in. And I'm just so relieved and grateful for that. I learned a lot of lessons from going through a very tough year financially with my business. And maybe that's something that I can talk about in a future episode if you're interested in chatting about that. But I am in a much better place now financially. I'm in a much better place, like emotionally, mentally. It's amazing how much going through financial struggles can affect all areas of your life. Like, I've never experienced that before. And it truly does affect a lot of areas of your life, and ones that you think might be obvious and others that you have no idea, like, wow, I didn't realize all of this was connected. So happy to report my business is great, doing good. I am keeping my fingers crossed that I can keep the momentum going through 2025. I'm really hoping that 2025 is going to be a better year, but I really did end the year on a strong note. And through that time, it allowed me to just reevaluate about this podcast and really kind of reflect on why I started it and what I want for it going forward. So I think when I started the podcast, I knew I wanted to encourage and inspire and motivate other people. I don't think I fully understood like what that was going to look like. I think I just was throwing darts out there and shooting in the dark. But now I feel like I have a little bit more of a clearer vision. And you'll see, I'm sort of rebranding a little bit here, but you'll see now all of my episodes are going to be titled With. So the podcast is called Beautifully Consumed, and the episodes are going to be with whatever the title is. And the reason for that is, I guess, like redefining beautifully consumed for anybody who is new here, or just like, let's recap on it. So to me, beautifully consumed is like looking at life with the glass half full type of mentality. It's an approach to life that is positive no matter what negative things are happening, no matter what you're going through. There is always something positive to be taken. There's always a lesson to be learned. And it's about seeing those and focusing on those instead of focusing on the negatives and focusing on what went wrong. It's about taking situations and lessons from everything and like, how can we move forward with that? Even though sometimes it just sucks and bad things happen, but there's always something good that happens in life too. That situation may be horrible, your circumstances may be horrible, but something on the other side is waiting for you, and it's better and it's good. And to be beautifully consumed is to be focused on that. It's not to negate the bad things or the negative things that happen to us. It's acknowledging those and choosing to focus on the good things in life. And it's also about choosing to like be your best self and live a life that you love in order to be the best version of you, but also to radiate that to everybody you come in contact with. I truly believe that the best way, the most efficient and the most effective way for you to make a difference in this world is to do what you love. And I don't mean that you have to take your passions and turn them into a business or make money from them or do them all the time, but just like being your most true, authentic self and doing the things that light you up are going to radiate and create this like glow and this energy about you that is infectious to everybody you meet, whether it's a friend, a romantic partner, or the person checking you out at the grocery store. When you are radiating such positivity and authenticity, it has an impact on everybody that you come in contact with. And I know that sounds kind of like a little out there, but I promise you it's so true. And so I really want this podcast to be a space where we can try to be those people and learn and grow together on how to do that, because that is the way that we are going to make the world a better place. That is the way that we are going to make real change, is by being the best versions of ourselves so we can show up and encourage other people to do the same. It's like that quote that says, when you shine, your light, it gives others permission to do the same, or something of that nature. But that's what beautifully consumed means to me, is all of those things. And so that is kind of what we're going to be talking about with this podcast. And I'm going to be doing a lot of solo episodes, talking to you about different topics. And I also want to have friends and other entrepreneurs and just other people who I feel radiate that positivity and radiate that light, and talk to them about their stories, talk to them about their struggles as well, because I think all of that is connected. And like I said, there is always something positive to look forward to, even in the darkest and worst situations in life. There is always light on the other side. And so that is my goal, is to encourage you and inspire you. And again, reminder, I am not perfect. I do not have all of this figured out. I am not always happy. I am not always authentic. I am not always the best version of myself, but I certainly am trying to be, and I try to get a little bit better every single day. And so I want us to go on this journey together. And I will tell you, I think this is hard for me because I am not someone who enjoys the spotlight. Like, I really don't like when attention is all on me. At birthday parties and stuff, like, I don't need you to have a cake and sing for me. I mean, I think it's nice and fun and whatever, but I've never been someone who craves attention, which seems strange based on what I do. But what I do really feel called to do is to make an impact on people. And I have always been the friend who others come to for advice. I feel I'm very empathetic. I do feel like I give good advice. I have a really good listening ear. I'm very understanding. I'm able to easily put myself in other people's shoes. And I feel like one of my gifts is being able to encourage and motivate and inspire other people. And I think the way to do that comes with sort of being the center of attention and being in the spotlight. As much as I don't necessarily enjoy it or love it or strive to be the center of attention, I think the need for me to encourage and inspire other people's trumps my uncomfortable feelings around being the center of attention. So that's something I really had to understand for myself during this little break I took, was why did I really start this? And I reminded myself I started this because I want to help other people be the best versions of themselves, because when we can all do that, the world is a much better place. And I feel truly that I have been given the gift to help people do that. So I hope that doesn't sound conceited. I know that I can make an impact. My words have the power to make an impact on people. And I would feel guilty if I didn't try to pursue that. And it's interesting. Starting a podcast is very strange because you don't get immediate feedback. Like, you're literally just sitting here talking into a mic, and you post an episode and it goes out into the void, and you have no idea who listens to it or what people think about it unless they actively tell you. And in the very short amount of time that I was releasing episodes, I released 10 episodes, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I'm pretty proud of that. I actually had a few people reach out to me and tell me, this really helped me. This encouraged me. And specifically the episode I did about not drinking, I was very nervous to do that episode. It's very controversial, and I tried my best to make it light and, try not to make people feel bad. But I actually had 2 friends reach out to me because of that episode and tell me that they took a break or cut back from drinking, and I was the person that inspired them to do that. And that is just like, that made my day, that made my whole year, honestly. And I don't think those people really realize how much that impacts me, the impact I had on them. I don't think they realize how much that means to me. And I know I can do so much more of that. And that is really, that's what I want to do with this podcast. Like, even if it's only a handful of people, if I have the power to make an impact on someone in a positive way, that's what I'm here to do. So I'm excited to have you along with me. I feel like I'm rambling a bunch here, but moving forward, what you can expect a little bit differently in comparison to those first episodes I released is we're more casual, free-flowing, unedited, lighthearted. You can probably already tell that by this podcast. I am not going to sit here and edit out all the ums and the stutters and me fumbling over my words. One, because I don't have time for that. I just don't. It's a lot of work to edit, especially when you're just editing out those small little things. But two, I want this to feel like we're sitting down and FaceTiming each other or talking on the phone. I want us to feel like best friends, or I want to feel like your big sister giving you advice. I feel like it's much more authentic for you to hear me talk how I actually talk instead of in this very scripted, very put together professional type of way. If I say or like or but or stumble over my words and have to restate something, that's just me. And that's how you would hear it if we were sitting down having a conversation together. So I'm leaving that in. Again, one, for time purposes, me editing and stuff like that. But two, I really, really want this to feel real and raw and authentic. And I hope that you can kind of hear that in this episode already. And I'm excited for my future episodes to feel more like this. And something else is, I feel like in my first couple episodes, I was really trying to prove myself by spitting all these facts and doing all this research and kind of trying to like prove why I had the knowledge or the right to talk about certain things by like having data and science and stuff to back it up. I'm not really doing that anymore. I am going to try to give you real, like, quality, good content, advice, things like that. And sure, I may like have to do a little prep work and look up a few statistics and things like that. But I, again, just want this to be like a real, raw, honest conversation. And so no more of that going into 2025. This is just fun, lighthearted. And I don't know if you're watching this, you can watch on YouTube, but I am just holding the mic in my hand. I'm sitting here with my legs crossed and my sweatpants. Like, we're much more casual. This is not the big scripted, have to get ready, read scripts. I've got a little notepad here with some like bullet points and stuff, but I'm not writing out the scripts for my episodes, and sure, that may cause a little bit more rambling on my part. Well, and speaking of keeping things real, my camera just died. The technicalities of having a podcast. So anyway, that's probably a good cue for me to stop rambling. I just want to say I'm really looking forward to the future of this podcast. I'm looking forward to sharing this like new vision I have for it and really focusing on why I started it. And I don't know, I feel good. I feel really good about what's to come. So in my next episode, I am going to talk about my word of the year. I'm going to talk about vision boards, all that fun kind of stuff, a really great topic for New Year's. So If you made it this far, thanks so much for listening to me just kind of ramble on today. I feel like I really needed to get all of that out and just kind of spill all the tea to y'all. So thanks for listening. I hope you had a wonderful, safe, relaxing, fun, whatever you needed it to be. I hope you had an amazing Christmas, holiday season, and New Year. I am so excited for 2025. It's going to be such a great year. I can really just feel it. And I cannot wait to get back to posting regular episodes and getting to chat with y'all again. So I would love to hear from you. Give me a follow on Instagram at Beautifully Consumed, or you can follow my personal account, Hey Chelsea Leigh. Send me a DM. Let me know what you're looking forward to about the podcast. Let me know what topics you might want to hear about. If you have any guests you want to hear from, I am just so excited to restart this journey with you. Together, we're going to be beautifully consumed with starting something new. All right. I will talk to y'all next time, and Happy New Year.